All right. Well, I think we should kick off this. Uh, welcome everybody to our first. No, it's our second meetup of the year, isn't it? Because we did it after we did it.
Oh, new MacBook Pros today.
Oh
Just
yes,
quickly.
that's exciting.
Oh yeah, the
Um,
pizza one that was this year, wasn't it? Just
Yes, yeah.
yeah,
But
new architecture, which is interesting.
Oh, they did that, did
yes,
they? There
yep.
was all the, are they gonna,
Mm.
right. So it was an iPad chip or something.
No, not yet. That's tomorrow. That's tomorrow's
Oh,
announcement. But today's announcement was MacBook Pros with a new Max and Pro architecture where it's similar to the Fusion on the Ultra.
the word fusion, it just to me because it reminds me of the fusion
Yeah, because of the
drives,
iMac.
which gave me
Yeah, the
no
iMac.
end of trouble over the years.
Yep.
Those things were terrible, so I don't like that word.
Yep.
yeah.
Cool.
Sorry,
Okay, well,
Sam,
back
what are
on
you
track.
saying?
Sorry, Sam.
Yes.
Yeah,
So
back on track.
I was planning on setting up a live stream for this meetup, but I could not get the audio working, so I'm recording it instead. So if anyone doesn't want to be in the recording, let me know. I'll mostly just be recording the screen anyway. But um, yep. And yes, this meetup may well be a complete disaster. I'm sure that's why most of you have signed in. Oh, here's Mark as well. Mark signed in to see the disaster.
Oh, look, it's Picard. He's on.
Um,
Yes, I'm here.
yes, so let's give it a crack. Now, Xcode 26.3, it's been out for about a week, which means James is going to install it in a year. Um, but I've had a go and it sort of works. It's certainly very pretty the way that it does it. So I think that's something that's effort well spent by the Xcode engineers. I'm just going to share my screen now. Uh, let's just do.
I am still a bit shitty with them that meant I had to put Tahoe on my machines to use intelligence with it.
Oh, is that true?
Yeah. And you can't run off an external drive, which is what I tried first.
So you can run, can you use Xcode 26.3 on Tahoe, but you just can't use the intelligence features? Is that
Yeah.
okay?
And yeah, and it has to be booted off the internal to use the
Yeah.
intelligence, which is
Yeah.
supposedly something about drive speeds or something like that, I guess. But um, I saw a thread from somebody who'd tested it with a screaming fast Thunderbolt external, and they said it's obviously not measuring drive speed. It's just like a blanket ban on externals.
Okay, so can everyone see my screen?
Yep.
Yep, awesome.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to start I'll just FYI, I'll go through a bit of the theory first. Xcode 26.3 has got support for agentic coding, which is apparently vibe coding is like having a pair programmer where they've got control of the keyboard and they're not very good. Whereas agentic coding is where like you've got a super enthusiastic intern who's reporting to you, and you send them off to drink lots of coffee and type away at their keyboard like crazy. So I think the intent behind agentic coding is that it goes away and it strings together multiple tasks rather than just simple request response type stuff. Actually, just before we get to, I'll start this now. That's fine. So I'm creating an app. I'll call it Vibe. I'm going Swift data. Yep. Away we go. Projects Vibe. Yep, that sounds good. And just to show you where we set up the intelligence stuff, we've got a new setting in Xcode called intelligence. We can configure OpenAI, which is ChatGPT and Codex. ChatGPT being the regular one that everyone knows. Codex is their new agentic coding product, and then Anthropic for Claude. Okay, so you can go off, set those up. The Anthropic Claude agent, you do need a paid plan for Anthropic to be able to use that. So and most of those plans they come with a token and you pay per by usage, or there's a plan which has got some built in and some rate limiting and whatnot. So I've signed up for a plan for Claude, which I think was 300 and something a year, which probably doesn't give me very much, but we'll see if we hit any token limits tonight.
A quick tip on that. If you set your VPN to US location and you have a US address in quotes, you can get it for $200 US a year.
Oh, nice.
The Australian pricing for some reason is ridiculous.
Yeah, it's people trying to hedge foreign currency fluctuations, I assume. But anyway, so yep, that's how we set it up. There is a setting down here called external agents use Xcode tools. I'll go through that a little bit later, but that's what you want if you want to use something outside of Xcode to be able to do stuff in Xcode, if that makes sense. All right, so the template here for my Xcode for my iOS app that I'm creating is it's like a little to-do listy type thing, but it doesn't have anything other than a date time. I think I've got items that have just got a timestamp. So that's what's been generated by the Xcode template. So what I'm going to do is just start fleshing out some stuff, right? See what I can do. I have practiced some of this, but basically all I'm going to do is sort of do the things that I know will work, and then maybe I'll throw it open to everyone, and we can just keep asking it to do stuff until we break it. Does that sound good for everyone?
Shouldn't be hard.
Yeah. So we've got this fancy little. You can tell it's AI because it's got the weird star thing on it, and the rainbow effect. Obviously, that's what you need to know what's happening there. Now you can switch between your different agents here. I'm told that it's a common thing for these agentic coders, prompt engineers, whatever they're called these days, to frequently switch between different agents if one's not playing the game. So obviously you're able to do that here. I'll show you what the history does when we get into it. But what I'll start with is I've decided that I'm going to do a recipe app, because who doesn't love cooking? So I'll say change item class recipe, add common recipes, and go off and hopefully do something. Now, this is part of what makes it agentic, is it strings together multiple tasks to accomplish something, whereas certainly with the order models, it's mostly just very much request response. I do like these rainbow backgrounds. They're very pretty, showing you what it's changed. You see I'm using Swift data, even though Swift data is rubbish. Okay, and this is another agentic thing. It'll go and try and build the project. If the build fails, it'll automatically try and fix it for you, rather than you saying, "Can you please fix the build failure?"
Interesting that the title string doesn't have a default, whereas everything else does.
I guess you want, yeah. I mean, it's decided that you're always going to have a title for a recipe, and it doesn't make sense to not have one.
Yeah, true.
Again, it's a design decision that somebody's made that Claude's copied, I presume. So if we have a look at our content view now, well, that hasn't really changed anything that we can see, because we've still got it's changed it so we've got recipe title, I guess. So it'll say new recipe. It's decided it's going to add a new recipe. Yeah, so that's our default that we're getting there. Ron, it's being explicitly passed in.
Yeah, cool.
All right, so our next step, let's create a recipe detail view. that shows read-only details, selected recipe, and modify the navigation link in content view to navigate to view. So off it goes. Is this text okay for everyone to see?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was just thinking that. I mean, I can make it out, but I'm looking at a slightly squashed version on a 30-inch display. So are you normally working at that size?
I'm on a 27 here.
Wow.
Yeah, my eyes haven't totally gone yet. I don't know how everyone else's eyes are going.
You can zoom in the window if you want to, if you're watching it.
I can see if I can change the...
No, we can zoom in. The people
Okay.
watching can zoom in on bits they want to see.
Yeah.
It's not particularly important.
I'm just thinking a more general sense of what people actually zoom in on the day-to-day. So
Yep. So you can see what happened there is we had a build failure, and it missed out an import, so it's fixed it for us. And if we go to our recipe detail view, which should be available now.
It's amazing how human it seems, because that's something we could do and then go, oh fuck, we forgot to import Swift data and then write it in. Like it's just, I find that fascinating.
Yep.
I'm
So you can see what it's
reluctantly
done
blown
here.
away. Yeah.
What was that? Sorry, Andy.
I'm reluctantly blown away by it. I mean, for example, don't judge me for this, but one of my apps I build using source files included from an adjacent directory because I refuse to build a framework for things. And it came up with a really idiomatic comment about the fact that most of the files that had changed for this task I'd asked it to do were not going to show up in Git for this application because they were often somewhere outside of the Git tree.
Yep.
And it was kind of like, yeah, it's scarily understandable, the things it points out.
Yep. So you can see what's happened here. It's come up with, obviously it's a very plain UI, but it's usable, and it's even done some sample data in the preview for me.
Yeah,
so that we can see it.
Simon, I'm going to need a review from you on the recipe we've got here. Is that reasonable carbonara?
200 grams of pancetta is a lot.
There's no cream, right? That's the most important thing, right?
Absolutely. It is a legitimate carbonara.
Nice. Approved.
All right. So
shouldn't a legitimate be using guanciale?
Probably, yes. I think pancetta would be more of an Americanization of a carbonara, wouldn't it?
Sorry.
So would cream.
Good code, bad recipe.
Yep. All right. So what I'm going to do next, let's put a search bar. So add a search bar to the content view and a feature to search recipes name or ingredient.
Did you practice these particular phrases before your presentation now, Sam? Or is this pretty much off the cuff?
I did do these specific phrases, but it was a first pass. I didn't go back or anything. It was pretty much as implemented the first time I did it.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yep. It's building it for me.
Done something different to when you first did it. Can you remember?
It's been pretty similar. Like the actual recipe it generated was, I'm pretty sure it was the same. I wouldn't guarantee that it's deterministic, but yeah, it's been consistent so far with what it did the first time. Yep. All right, so we've got a search, but we sort of need some data to search. So let's do a list of sample recipes. What's it called? Model container. I don't use Swift data, so because who would? Content preview. Thinking. Hopefully, I haven't been rate limited already.
Well, hopefully Claude is actually up. It went down for a few days.
Yeah, wasn't there a big fuss about Anthropic saying that they weren't going to support AI for killing people?
Yeah. So all of a sudden they got the #1 app on the App Store. Too many new users.
Didn't they also get supposedly DDoSed by the American military after that? Or
Yeah,
there's all sorts of
unproven but possible.
unproven, but
Yeah, one of
plausible?
the theories about why they went down.
They've also been black, not blacklisted, denied, put on some sort of list of companies
Do not
that
use,
can no
do not
longer
use software. And it's interesting that classification that you're talking about, Mark, is actually a real problem for some people I know in Australia because they work for companies that are owned by American companies. And so because the American government has said this software is banned, they themselves can't use that software. So they have to switch from Claude to ChatGPT, and they're not very happy about it.
It's weird
it
how
goes
it's
beyond that because that classification has never been used for anything other than non-American companies. It's the first time an American company is essentially designated an American company as an enemy of the state.
Yeah, it's stupid. I mean, it'll fail in the courts, but one thing they've learned is that courts take a long time.
it's fascinating how it chose to do multi-line formatting for those recipes, except for the last three values. They're all on the one line. I was just going to,
Ah,
yeah, it's just interesting. It kind of works because they're all short. But anyway, I was going to say one of the really great things about the Xcode integration here compared to, say, um, Cursor, which I've been using for quite some time, is the ability to build the code because that is the big gap in Cursor. Like it'll do exactly this, exactly what you're showing here, make all the changes in your files. So if you have Xcode open, it'll all update and reflect what the cursor has done, but it can't build it. And so you'll frequently have it do its work, go to build, and there's errors, there's compile errors. So then you have to tell it what the error was, and it goes, oh yeah, I see. But the ability for this to just build, see what the issues are, take them into account, fix it is actually really, really nice.
Yep. Honestly, this feature makes it for me because it makes such a difference having decent decent data in your previews. It makes your preview sort of usable. But I would spend like an hour coming up with sensible recipes.
Yeah, exactly. That's
to
really
stick
good.
in there. Yeah.
yeah. Or I would go to Mockaroo and it would just come up with rubbish. Um, Sam, did you type onion and it searched for onion inside the recipes? I didn't see you write the code to look
Yes.
for
I asked
look
for
for
name or
ah
ingredients. So you can see the code that it's come up with here. Ingredients
cool.
contains blah blah blah. Yep. So yep.
Okay.
I reckon that's a I don't know if anyone uses a recipe app that doesn't have very good search, but I use one that if you accidentally don't get the words in the right order, it doesn't show up any results, which is super annoying. But
Cool.
Anyway. All right. So next
So
step.
contains, yeah, I mean, contains is a no-brainer.
Yep. I reckon we need to be able to edit. So add an edit mode to.
How about you can check off the steps as you go through them?
What was that?
How about you make it so you can check off the steps as you go through them?
Yep. Well, let's do that too.
Yeah, nice prompt, and see how it does that strategically, including adding a some sort of local state for the checkboxes.
We'll put there.
You can't transfer your cursor subscription to here, can you?
No, but I mean, I have ChatGPT anyway, so I would just use it. Actually, like, it'll be good to start using this, and then I can actually just cancel my cursor subscription.
Anecdotally, I've got friends who've got both ChatGPT and Claude, and they reckon Claude agents run rings around the ChatGPT ones. But they are in
Is that
AWS.
Codex? Is that Codex Runner or ChatGPT? Because I think ChatGPT has always been core.
Sorry. Yeah, sorry, it's Codex. It's Codex versus Opus and Sonnet combined. It's the agents, because it'll actually use Sonnet or Opus depending on what you've asked it to do. So it's quite clever in that regard. But also, the person I'm talking about, they're in AWS infrastructure land, so it creates, all of the infrastructure as code stuff as well. So I don't know if Opus is just better at that for some reason because of what it's been fed
Cursor
or
just
whatever.
uses, has a range of models, including Claude and Codex and several others, and you just usually have it set to auto mode, but you can specify if you have a preference. And there's no additional account needed, and I've never hit rate limiting in
Oh,
Cursor.
fantastic.
So,
one of the things that I've heard people talk about, and I think you can get obsessive over, is setting up your skills or agents files or whatever. Have people spent much time doing that?
No.
Right.
I haven't. I've looked at it. So one of the things is the Xcode implementation here has got a lot of skills that Apple set up for us.
Yeah.
So that's a sort of a good out of the box experience. I know that if you've got based on the release notes I read through for Xcode, I think they use a completely separate, like you can add your own to the Xcode specific agents, but they're stored in a different place if you have like a Claude agent installed separately on your Mac. So you do them separately, I guess. I don't know why they did it that way, but they've done it that way. But yeah, I wouldn't have the first clue as to what to put in a Claude file or. I know I've seen certainly reports of people that have gone through and done, laboriously set up these sort of exotically complicated rules and skills and whatnot in order to tune it to exactly what they're trying to do. But yeah, I have not done anything like that. All right, so we've got an edit, and it's given us a basic sort of I think this is different to what I generated before. The form looks quite different. So what I had before was a button with an add ingredient underneath. So it's obviously not super deterministic, but either way you would start and then just refine yourself, I guess. All right. So edit mode, want to have a delete on there. So delete button to the recipe detail view. To delete a following.
That was a good point from Andy earlier. Is that Andy, you said the word steps, and it's actually used the word instructions, which is interesting.
Actually, instructions is a heading with steps underneath it.
No. I don't know what the data model is. I didn't see it really properly.
Instruction. It just decided to call it just instructions, I think.
Okay.
I mean, methods, the term that you would use for recipes, isn't it?
Yeah, or steps. I've certainly seen steps used. And then I like Andy's idea of the checkboxes and then steps make sense. But anyway, that's semantic, which
I
is
would
all
also
about
like
agents, I guess.
inbuilt AI to go through a recipe and actually rearrange things so that it tells you to do stuff in the right order, because you get down to step 23 and you go, oh crap, that thing was supposed to be prepped by now, and so forth. I'm not a great cook. I can follow recipes fairly mechanically, and it drives me insane when I'm flipping backwards and referring back to, you know, like, for example, why couldn't you have a bubble that shows what the ingredients are that you're going to need at that point, rather than having to go back, scrolling back through all the ads on the web page to what the measurement was of that stuff that you needed there.
Don't have a
like
delete.
mouse over the egg yolks, or tap the egg yolks, and there's a little bubble comes up that says 4 egg yolks.
Oh, if it's editing. So this is interesting. So I had an edit delete button when I at the top when I did this before, but now I've got a delete recipe floating button at the bottom. So there we go. And the good old popover that's anchored to nothing in particular that I'm sure everyone's enjoyed with iOS 26.
Removed. Okay.
So not going to work in there, but yeah, our sort of works. All right, let's give Andy's go. What did you want, Andy? Just a checkbox on each one as you go through?
Yeah, which means you're in a sort of play mode. You're not editing the recipe so much as you're playing. You're using the recipe, and you've got, so there's checkboxes when you're in use mode. So it's like start cooking mode or something like that. So you say start cooking, and then then the checkboxes appear.
So add a new mode, do you think?
Yeah, I would sort of say
a read
so,
mode and
yeah.
an edit mode at the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you start cooking, and it would, have checkboxes would appear, so you can check off each step as you're going.
New that adds checkboxes.
And as I spend forever debugging weird iPadOS windowing bugs at the moment, it would be great to take this whole thing, say, now ensure that on iPadOS you can have multiple windows open with different recipes going in parallel, because that's what I actually do when I'm cooking.
And it probably wants a timer when you're in that mode, doesn't it?
Yep.
Little timing thing.
Yeah, once you've started, the timer should start. Yeah.
And then you have an evil mode where it randomly swaps steps from one recipe window across to the other.
Microsoft Copilot mode.
Yeah, clip you on Coke.
And display timer. Something like that.
Audio feedback. You're not cooking fast enough.
in Ramsey's voice.
Yep. Well, I'm sure Ramsey's voice is certainly possible today with our deepfake technology.
AI, for sure. An idiot sandwich.
So you weren't
Really
getting
thought
to
about
commit in
that?
between each of these things, were you? This is all one long stream of edits.
What was that? Sorry.
were you getting it to commit between each step here or not? This is just one of the string headers.
Based on the release notes, it sounds like the history does require a local Git repository. So I think it might be doing some sort of commits under the hood. I haven't actually had a look to see if there's anything visible there. All right, so we've got a start cooking, which doesn't do it. Oh, there we go.
Did you tell it to do that icon?
No.
So it picked an SF symbol that kind of made sense.
Yep.
Wow.
So that's,
see, that's the stuff that makes you go, what?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So now tell it that you cannot uncheck steps that are above a checked step.
Oh, are you sure?
Oh, you mean like that?
Oh, you mean
Let's
I
get
do
heart
things out
failure,
of order
right?
all
So
the time.
this is
out of
logical.
order? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, that's what a programmer would think that cooking is like.
All right, I've got an
I
I've
love
got
the
an
fact that it also
interesting.
put a scroll
No, you
through
can
the.
you can back out, but you can't skip back and say no, that step wasn't done.
I've got an interesting challenge for this. So I've had some success before giving Cursor a mock-up and saying build this in Swift UI. It usually maybe gets about 80% right, which in my experience is about probably better than some developers might, having given the same mock-up. But I just had a thought when I saw it's in the last feature you gave it to do, which is more of an interactive feature that requires buttons and things, right? Prior to that, it didn't. There was no action button. There was no actions you could take, and it started to add some style to the app, right? It's chosen some colors. It chose a color for that button, a button style, and so on. I'm curious if you could give it like a mood board, like here's just a general mood board that I'm interested in this app. Can you implement this across the app? So I just had a look. I just Googled mood boards for app and found one, which I will put in the chat.
Alrighty.
Can you paste that into, I think you can attach files, surely, yeah, and just say, here's a mood board for a style I'm interested in. Can you apply this to the app?
I'll give that a go.
I've never tried this with any coding assistant, so.
So are you talking about just the colors there?
Well, I mean, what is that mood board cover? There's like a little palette. And one of the things there's, I guess there's a fonts, there's a button style, there's sort of an icon style, which is, all the icons are blue with a kind of particular style to them. So you might want to add to the prompt, consider colors, graphical styles, fonts, and icons. So
download that. Downloads.
Where's my Mac?
Use this mode. No, that'll do. Go on, go do it.
Well, I mean, it already knew that mood board is styling, so that's good.
A soft pastel aesthetic.
One of the things that really bugs me about these tools is I'll give it a mock-up and say this is what I want it to look like, and then it comes back with, oh, I can see you've come up with a really beautiful minimalist design that's a great fit for this. Like, shut up. Upload smoke up my ass. Honestly.
Yeah.
They have actually advertised, or at least some of the providers have advertised that they've deliberately made efforts towards reducing the level of sycophancy.
Yeah,
that's literally been in some of the release notes that they've put out.
It's my biggest issue with this stuff is it too often is led by me. Like I want it to push back and say, no, that's wrong. Like that's not the right approach. Here's it doesn't do that enough. Not just in design, obviously, but just in all things. It's interesting. It seems to be doing more than just styling. Like it's seems to be doing something with columns. I guess it's got some inspiration from that second screenshot.
It said it's done a card-based grid layout. I don't know if you can read the content that it's doing, but yeah,
yeah, because it's taken that as a primary style guideline. Which, if you look at that, every one of those screens has got card-based stuff in there. And this is where it gets really dangerous. The whole, you are unintentionally prompting the AI with something that you didn't notice. Oh, cool. Like the classic tale was the one that they thought they taught it. This is an old one. They thought they taught it to recognize melanomas, and what that actually taught it to do was recognize rulers, because all of the real melanomas had a ruler in the picture.
Yeah.
That's an interesting output. Preview screenshot error. Recipe detail view preview here. Swift compiler issue with the preview thunk. This is a known Xcode bug with complex views, not a build error.
Is it really?
Well,
that's another thing AI tends to do. This is a known. This is if I had $1 for every time it said to me, "This is a known issue with Swift UI." Like, is it? Is it though? Is it really?
I do like that it's added some symbols, some SF symbols for the ingredient section and for the instruction section.
Yep.
So yeah, it's done cards. It's got the color palettes. Right. Here's an interesting thing. Like obviously we are a iOS 26 liquid glass app here, because we haven't said otherwise. And so, it's correctly said, well, I can't have like a solid color like navigation bar, so I'm gonna have to do like a fade color behind it and fade that under it, rather than, I don't know what this other app would do. It certainly hasn't done anything like a side menu thing. This is kind of an old style.
Yeah,
call it like a hamburger menu. It hasn't done that. So
well,
points for not going down that path.
It's got the search bar down the bottom, which is the new thing, isn't it?
Yeah, it didn't move that.
I mean, a lot of that stuff will happen with Swift UI.
But that is actually a good point, though, right? Because the sample we gave it has a search bar at the top, so it didn't go, "Oh, I better put the search bar at the top."
However, proper liquid glass style, that plus would have been a tab by itself on the left of the search.
Sometimes.
That was that whole thing about misusing the tab bar as a floating action button.
Yeah.
Wasn't it? Isn't the search meant to be a button floating off the end of the tab bar?
Well, yes, but it expands to a thing like that when you tap it.
Yeah.
So if you don't have a tab bar, this looks pretty idiomatically liquid glass to me. Go into one of the recipes and start cooking it.
You want to see if that still works?
Just want to see.
Was that start cooking like faded or grayed out? Or is it
it looks
just
like
the
it. I think
aesthetic
it's
now?
just
It's gone more
pastel. It's gone pastely, so it's like you'd want to obviously tweak this and
the iPad layout's not great, but
I definitely don't love the colored background with the cards on top. Like if you look at the sample one, it's got a white background with pastels for the cards. I never like a colored background. But
see if you can fix that without damaging anything else.
If you gave that mood board to a junior designer,
crashed.
You'd be pretty happy with what they came up with here.
Yep,
it's
enthusiastic intern.
Yeah, but look at how it took that mood board and it got soft pastel from that, because that mood board to me is stronger colors than what it has deduced.
It is, yeah.
And there's like a strong aesthetic with the shadowed chunks in front, and it's completely missed that. If a designer looks at that, hey James, those are things I'm picking out.
Well, one thing we haven't given it is any images. Like, really each recipe should have a header image and a card. And, ideally it would have, if I was designing this app, for each recipe, I would have the critical ingredient of that isolated on a colored background with a deep shadow, right? So it's not a picture of the recipe. It's like one focused ingredient and it's like isolated and it would look really funky. But this stuff really fascinates me because everything up to this point, I can kind of understand. This machine learning thing has been trained on lots of text and lots of code samples and things, and it understands that. And we're giving it text questions, and it goes to its text memory, and it can produce novel code based on that. I get it. How AI can analyze this photo, this static screenshot, and deduce some aesthetic things from it, and then make aesthetic choices to apply to this. It boggles my mind.
Yeah.
It really
Image
does.
recognition always has been. But at the end of the day, what all ML models do with images is it translates them into a single array of RGB numbers, or sometimes just grayscale numbers per pixel. It'll downsample it, it'll translate it into an array, and it'll say, I'm going to run some statistical stuff on that list of numbers. It is baffling how it can do that and then come up with, this is a dog on a trampoline type thing.
But see that I can almost get my head around as well. It still amazes me. But being able to basically deconstruct the image into themes and what it contains and so on. Okay, but then being able to reconstruct that into like concepts that it can then apply to a different app and work out which bits of that photo and
I think probably what it's doing is it's interpreting the image into text and then applying the text to code changes, if that makes more sense.
Yeah.
And you look,
I mean,
at the elements it's pulled out. Sorry.
Yeah. I was just going to say it's used the right SF symbols for the images that we didn't provide. So
this here is interesting. It's basically picked up some keywords out of the title and given it an SF symbol.
Yeah.
Which is probably the way that I would do it. In the absence of
without
any other
images.
information.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
It's
I think
way
maybe
better than
just a counterpoint. Go on.
Oh. I was just saying it's way better than it was just a few months ago, like leaps and bounds, even compared to Cursor.
Yeah.
I was just going to say that, I mean, one thing that I'm finding a little of, I guess, is that I don't know whether it's holding me back or not, but I can't help but see it as just linear algebra at scale. That whenever I see it happening, I'm thinking about what's going on under the hood, and maybe not letting it just go and do what everybody else is doing, and just not even worrying about what it's actually doing behind the scenes.
On that subject, right? I'm interested at the start of this. You described your understanding of the difference between agentic coding and vibe coding, and I've not heard it kind of express that way. So, but you kind of said like vibe coding is more sort of step by step, and agentic coding is more sending it away to do sort of a string of things together. Is that pretty much what you said?
That's what I read somewhere. So whether that's, I mean, it's semantics
because
at the end of the day.
Like I've been playing with this stuff now for like well over a year, probably 18 months. And what you've done here, like the amount of work that you gave it each time and the amount that it did, is what it's always done, or I've always done. Like, you want to call that vibe coding or agentic coding, like about this much, and then checking it each time and seeing what it's done and adjusting and so on. This doesn't feel like any more agentic, like, it's really going away and I'm letting it do like many things in the time. And because when you said that, I was like, oh, I really want to do that, because my big learning in this kind of work is verify at every step. Like, don't let it go away and do multiple things in a row. Do one thing, check it, verify it, correct it, and then move on. Yeah, I don't really know what agentic coding is.
You definitely can get it to do a whole load of different steps. You can give it a list, or you can give it a much bigger scoped project, and it will go away and have a good crack at it.
Right.
Generally, I've not used Claude much to do that. I've used Codex 5.3 quite a lot too. And what else you can do is do it on a branch, and then use a different agent to do a PR review for you. So use Cursor Bot or something like that to review the PR, and then you can feed that feedback back into the original agent if you want to fix any issues that it's found or suggestions it makes.
Yep.
An interesting test would be to take all of those individual prompts that you gave, Sam, put them all into a list, and then give it that list and see if
Oh
that
my God.
becomes agentic rather than check, adjust. Just give it that list, because the promise of agentic coding that I've seen is that agentic coding should be able to see, and similar to what Simon was saying, where you get one agent to review the PR, agentic coding should be able to see that what this just did actually has a problem, and it'll fix it while the steps are still going through. So it's potentially, it's almost like concurrent iterations over itself after you give it a whole bunch of things. Because I'm the same as you, James. I don't trust the engines to do more than one class at a time. Like I just can't let go of that. And I think maybe it's because I'm doing what Mark is, which is I'm looking at it as it's going to go and do all these things, and it's probably going to get them wrong if I give it two things to do. If I give it two classes to go and or do a whole app. But like I said earlier, a friend of mine used it to build an entire platform. And he's not a vibe coder, he's an actual coder. So he reviewed the code and he checked it all out. It worked really well. So I guess the real test would be to take all of those individual prompts and say, can you build an app based on all of this? And then see what it comes up with. Because if it's proper agentic, it should review what it is producing at each of those discrete steps. Rather than us reviewing at each discrete step, it should do that. I don't know. That's how I feel about it.
One of the things it doesn't seem to be able to do yet is actually look at the previews. Some of the agentic sort of design apps I've used, there's one called Pencil, which is very good. It will actually take screenshots of the things it's created and have a look at the screenshot and see if it matches what it's trying to make, and then it'll adapt it to actually fit and match the screenshot that, or what it's the design it's trying to replicate. I don't think that Xcode agent can do that yet, but it would be very powerful if it could actually look at the previews.
Yeah, it was actually taking shots of was actually taking screenshots.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, they show up in the chat somewhere.
I had a long chat with Josh Homan, who's at Codex. He was at Apple at the February iOS Dev Happy Hour. I mean, and those are people who have completely unlimited token budgets. For start, it's in-house. But he was talking about using lots of MCPs, which again, this is why you've got unlimited token budgets, because they chew through tokens like nobody's business. So you have a whole bunch of MCP servers providing context and things, but also there's this thing about doing a plan. So one of the things I picked up from that is I posted a prompt from some of my recent stuff in the chat earlier, that the first thing I did was I gave it this, I need this, plan and recommend changes, and got it. So I looked at what it went through the code base and said it was going to do as a fix. And a lot of the other people, I think Rob Connery or somebody else I was talking to at DDD conference was saying about this, where you are working on refining the plans and then unleashing it from the plan.
That's absolutely something. Another thing I've done recently is tell it as the first thing you tell it to do is to create a markdown file in the root of the folder. And this is our to-do list, and plan out everything you're going to do in this markdown file, which you can then go and look through. And that gives you some context continuity as well. When you come back and you get a different agent, or you switch between different types of agents, you can just tell them to go and look in the to-do list that your previous agent created, and keep it up to date. And it gives them all some context that they can work from.
I feel like
that's
any skills we have that any time we've spent or experience we have working with junior developers, working with even to other developers, and like the kinds of things you do to make that process work, to plan, to communicate, to feedback, they kind of apply here, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's very much a coaching model.
Yeah, it really is. I've had tremendous success with this stuff over the last 18 months. Like I use this in most of my apps. And it's definitely hasn't been like a linear path to success and time saving and everything else. I've been down rabbit holes and wasted time chasing bugs that it just couldn't fix. And I've kind of learnt the kinds of things that it's good at and is likely to get tangled up in, and when to bail out. When it's just, I can tell when it's just hacking and it's just trying to find a solution that isn't there and it's completely in the weeds. But I'm at the point with the stuff with many, like, yeah, I'm getting days of work in hours. And I imagine that people who are more bullish about this would say, hours? What's wrong with you? It should be minutes. And I think that the hours is because I am still careful and I still want to own the code and understand the code and, like be ultimately in control of it. So I'm taking that time to go step by step and really check and not just check, but also make sure it's writing the kind of, like it's structuring code the way I prefer to structure it, because I still see myself maintaining it down the track, and I want to know where everything is and be comfortable with how it's formatted and structured. But yeah, I'm getting huge value from this, and I haven't even got to Xcode integration yet. It's just from Cursor. So I guess
I was using ChatGPT copy and paste a lot, and and most of those were things where I've pushed stuff where I'm running into actual Swift UI bugs, particularly the iPadOS 26 in a document-based app, and things like the whole menuing thing is just a frigging nightmare. And it would get stuck on local minima, and it comes up with, this is like the intern with too much coffee sort of thing. It will desperately try to convince you or to come up with some fix based around this idea it's come up with that is actually wrong as a way to fix the problem. Like most of the things I've posted on in my particular GitHub repo for Swift UI stuff has been bugs that ChatGPT couldn't solve. Because it was doing that thing, and a lot of graphics stuff. And then you go, is there a single call to do this when it's kind of pixel iteration things? You go, oh yes, you could use this single like CI filter call, and stuff like that. But this stuff here with the 26.3, I had a race condition crash that was hitting me dramatically more in one of my apps now, more in debug mode than I think in real life. But I just said, sort out this bug. It's getting an X bad access at this point. Go out and work out what's happening there. And it went off and worked out where I needed a data structure locking. And that was that's serious time-saving stuff there. I mean, I had a fair idea it was something like that, but it just went bang in a couple of minutes.
I've heard a number of people say, look, I don't do agentic coding, I don't do vibe coding, but I do use ChatGPT as a sounding board. I will post my questions in there and it'll give me some ideas, and then I'll understand it, and then I'll write the code. So I feel like the machine having your code base and insight into how it's structured and set up and doing it in context like this is a complete game changer. It's like another level. Huge. Compared to just using ChatGPT to answer individual questions. Totally changes everything.
Probably also time if you've done things like included multiple structs in the same file just for convenience as you're going, to clean up those code bases a little bit, maybe as a precursor. I'm suspecting, given the way it's phrased a couple of things as it's going through. My stuff's relatively neat, so I haven't got too many of those. But it did at one point point out that my Xcode folder structure didn't match the actual on-disk folder structure, and I felt like I'd had my wrist slapped.
You've been judged.
Absolutely, I felt very judged.
So I've asked it here to come up with a plan for migrating to GRDB. And it's going off and certainly doing lots of stuff.
This feels agentic. It's doing a lot of concurrent stuff.
Yeah, it's gone
Is it
off
actually?
to search
Is
the
there
internet.
an insight into what it's actually doing beyond the spinner?
A good GRDB query it is.
It's
Well, it
been
asked
going
me
for a
which
while
approach. Asked me which approach I wanted to use. This is the type of thing that you'd probably. I mean, obviously, this is a very, very small app. So I think that's what's limiting us being able to do more agentic stuff. But I guess this is something that would possibly give you more value if you had a large code base and you were trying to. Obviously, it would chew up tokens.
I only just noticed that it has got a different card height if the title is only one line, and so I'm out.
Yes.
Sorry, AI, you are fired. Back to doing this by hand. That's terrible.
Well, it's got a different. I'm pretty sure it's a different height. Maybe not.
No,
The
like
SF symbols
It is-
might be different heights as well, because that's always a fun one.
Isn't that part that I think I want to say it, and I don't know whether it's the right name, but in new CSS stuff, it's the waterfall grid. I've got the term correct. or not.
Yeah. I mean,
but where it comes from the Pinterest model where you can actually have the cards.
It's a valid thing to have
be
different
multiple
size cards if that's the style you're going for, but that's not what's happening here. These cards should be the same size anyway.
It's
they're
uncanny
center
valley
aligned.
stuff. It needs to be significantly different, not just a little bit different.
There's also no sort. It's just looks like.
Well, I haven't asked for a sort on it, to be
Right.
fair.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So
you didn't ask for the same
assumed.
things, the same height, and you didn't ask for them to be sorted. So
ask it
that's
to be
true,
sorted
'cause if
by
you told
cooking
it to-
time.
Yeah.
Another thing you could do here, and it's almost no point because I think we all know it would just do it no problem, is to tell it to localize it to Spanish, Japanese, and French. And I'm sure it would just chew that up in no time.
Yeah.
On
very
that topic,
good.
is anybody using Helm?
Not
say
yet.
again.
Helm.
Xcode replacement. No, Xcode.
No, it's
App Store
a
Connect.
App Store Connect replacement. Yeah, and it got a lot of praise. And one
What's
of
his
the things
name?
it does.
Hidi?
Hidi? Oh, sorry.
Yeah, Hidi. Yeah.
Yeah.
I met him at Deep Dish Swift last year. I mean to try Helm. I just haven't got around to it.
I'm doing podcast-driven app discovery.
Yeah.
Basically, interesting stuff I hear talked about.
Yeah, Hidi van der Plug, yeah.
So the interesting thing here is, I think it's offloaded more of this to the agent. So it keeps prompting me to allow stuff, and it's a little bit confused about how to add SPM dependencies. Whereas I think if I just asked it add GRDB as a dependency, it probably would have done it within whatever the model is that the Xcode's running natively.
Now it's written a Python script.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are we off in the weeds now?
Generating good.
Yes. But that's actually, that right there is one of my, I was saying before, like knowing when it's off in the weeds. When it starts talking about Python scripts, when you're debugging something, that's a giveaway.
Yeah, you blame all those people on Stack Overflow saying this is easy if you just go and implement a Python script.
Right.
So that's add GRDB task that's got the spinner on it. That's the current parent of a couple of things. Go on.
It's the parent of all those things underneath. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's also it's the parent of all the things underneath.
So is this where the linear thread thing breaks down as a visual model for what's happening as a hierarchy?
You would think that it could. Yeah, it's very much sort of a stream of consciousness, really, isn't it?
Mm.
I'll
Oh,
admit
And I
that
reckon if you,
consciousness. Sorry.
there, I find it very difficult to follow what's
Might be breaking the
your
project
input
file
and
now.
what's
it's
the truth
desperately trying to
output. You
create
know,
something.
It's
you've
yeah,
had, but
it's
there's been
stuck
a
going in circles trying to update the project. It's come up with I've got to do a manual edit of some kind because it's now trying to generate UUIDs to insert into the Xcode project manually, I would say.
it's
Far
The
out.
fascinating
next
It
to
thing it'll,
worked.
It's claimed it's
the next
added
thing
it
it'll
to
do
the.
is I need to write an IDE to edit a file.
it's fascinating to watch its thought process when it's because like it starts saying things like the user is asking why the title is now missing from the such and such screen. It could be. I wonder if it could be because it's like you've like said to your junior developer, "Hey mate, like you've dropped the title off. Remember that used to be a title there. It's not there anymore." And the junior developer's gone off into the corner and gone, James is telling me that the title's not there. I wonder if he means the title on the first screen or the second screen. And it has this like internal monologue about what's going on.
Yeah.
But it all just like goes, but you know, in front of your eyes like a massive stream of consciousness. It's a weird dynamic.
And I
My,
like
my,
that you've got a to-do list. It's done step one. Now it's on to step two. Step one took a very long time because it wrote 12 Python scripts. But uh, what are the rest of the steps? Like,
You
okay,
would.
app database makes sense. Modify the Swift classes. Okay, that all makes sense. Okay.
I would have told it to pull the sample data that's using for the recipe file into a helper so that can be used in unit tests as well.
So this feels like classic too big a chunk. Like again, like the lessons I've learned with this stuff is small chunks, and this feels like too big a chunk to give it. And that again, to my sort of like agentic coding and how much to let it go. Like,
But it seems to be
yeah,
doing the right things.
It's broken it down into a list and it's working through them. I think
Yeah.
if it's potentially starting a big task like this from a new context might have been a way to go. But then again, you need to have that continuity, so you need it to sort of be logging what it's doing somewhere.
Can
It might
I?
just be. Sorry, Karen.
No, I was just going to say, can I posit that maybe the difference between agentic coding and what we consider the previous generation of coding is that we no longer need to worry about setting up model context protocol, and agentic coding handles all of that for us. Is that maybe what's special about agentic coding
No, but it can use MCP
Doesn't
as
have
as
well?
to.
well.
Okay.
Local, definitely, that actually helps. I think.
I get the impression that's more what it does. It stitches together potentially multiple MCP servers to accomplish what it is. I'll show you. I'll show the agent in a minute.
One of the discussions I've seen about token usage in MCP servers is, of course, if you are using external MCP servers, they're kind of inserting lots of stuff in that are tokens that are going to be processed. So that's blowing your token budget out. And so people have suggested that one way to go is to have CLI simple interfaces to drive tools rather than full-blown MCP servers, because you don't get as much of a kind of discussion loop happening where it's reading stuff and putting all this chatty crap in there.
Hmm.
But I raised the point on a design forum a week or so ago about my sudden insight that the thing I should be doing is maybe, or as a general thing, if you have a design tool that runs on a Mac, that you should be adding a local MCP capability to it, much like you used to consider adding AppleScript with a proper dictionary for the object model. And lo and behold, when I started looking, guess what Sketch has done recently? And there was a great blog post about that.
Yeah. How many
Yeah.
people actually added proper AppleScript though, Andy, back in the day?
Some people did.
Was always those things where everyone said they were going to do it, and then you went to use it, and it was rubbish.
Okay, so if you go far enough back, one of the things I totally loved about AppMaker, the code generator, and yes, this is classic macOS thing, is that SpecBow's being obsessive about stuff like doing things properly. It built that into the generated code from day one, was the proper AppleScript support, which is one of the reasons people loved it.
One of the things that I've missed for 20 odd years now is that when apps did have the full AppleScript support, you actually had that recording function in script editor that actually worked.
Yeah.
And you could record your actions and it would just generate the script for you. You didn't have to figure out AppleScript at all. It was amazing. But we've kind of dropped the ball completely and people have forgotten about it. So
well, you can kind of blame Apple for that.
Yeah, they de-emphasized.
Yeah, no doubt there. Yeah,
because even their apps don't really have much AppleScript anymore.
Well, they dicked around with Automator and kind of try. I mean, they're trying to get away from some of the things that were painful about AppleScript, but they didn't give us a great alternative, I don't think.
No.
App Intense is halfway there now, I guess. I don't really know.
Look, it's still better than Windows in some respects. That's all that matters to me.
I mean, right now that's not a hard. It's not a hard bar.
It's a low bar with a billboard on top of it.
Yes, several billboards. So Sam, this seems to have done what you wanted.
It seems to have worked, yes.
Wow.
So I've got database migrations. I've got
Has that actually built in a migration from an installed Swift data repository to a GRD? Wow. Okay.
No.
Did you tell it to do that?
I don't think that's what it's done. I think this is just a migration for this is just the initial migration for the GRDB database.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's. I don't think it's going to.
I would have been really blown away if it had thought to put that in there.
Yeah.
You just said the word thought.
Oh. Hey, I'm anthropomorphizing away here. Yeah,
yep,
I've given up on that.
It did manage to successfully add the dependencies with its Python program, so there we go. But yeah, it seems to have worked.
Man, that's. I would probably just ask it to give me a summary of the steps to do it by hand in Xcode, and yeah, you really want to be getting those bits bit by bit.
Yep. So that's probably what I've got to show you there. I mentioned before this little setting here, which is the MCP, Xcode exposing the MCP functionality to external agents. So there is a setup for, I'll just show you here. So if you're using Claude Code, for instance, to set up for, actually, where was it? It was here. There's instructions, obviously, Apple's got there for, enable ChatGPT, enable Claude Agent. No, I found it somewhere. There's a command that you need to run to register Xcode. And there is. Claude MCP, add transport, standard IO, Xcode, etc., etc. So in theory, that means that if I run Claude from in here, I can do stuff in Xcode. I don't know what exactly, but I can do stuff. I haven't really tried this, so
can it look up definitions?
How do I look up?
Can it look up definitions for things like APIs and things using those?
Oh, you mean definitions of platform APIs?
Yeah, as opposed to what may have been pulled into the model in the past. I don't really have a feel for this MCP thing in terms of what stuff is being optimized by using MCP things for reading from MCP. I mean, for updating things with MCP, it's pretty staggering. But not everything is doing writable MCP. Seems to be a big divide between two-way MCP and stuff that's just doing just an information source.
Yeah, so I mean, if you're using like a Sketch or a Figma or something to extract designs and turn them into code, you probably don't really need to write to Figma, I guess. iOS recipe management. Yeah, so I don't know how to make Xcode do things, but because I'm not 100% sure whether that's using the Xcode MCP or not. But in theory, it's wide up, and you can then use the CLI to do other stuff. You know, maybe you're updating Android and iOS at the same time just by typing stuff into Claude. That'd be awesome. Anyway, is there anything else anyone wants to see while I've got it open?
Yeah.
Pen testing.
I didn't do any tests, you'll notice.
But so thinking of agentic stuff, this is like the having continual build server running your unit tests. We could be now having continual pen testing, particularly if you've got a back end. But
yep,
it is good for writing tests though. If you it's something we don't all love, but getting it to do that can be quite a time saver.
Yep.
That was something I did with this thing where I got it to fix the lock. Was I asked it to write a concurrency test to prove that the locking fix worked.
And what's basic in its view?
I feel like writing the tests after you've mostly finished the app is somewhat
that's the way that it's done, Mark. That's the way that it's done.
That is the way that most developers do it.
Yeah.
Especially Salesforce developers. I've just put in the chat a very fun little thing you can add to Claude in the CLI, and it'll say all of the things like it said just now, it said mulling. It'll say all of that stuff in whatever voice from whatever game you want.
Can you do it so that it speaks like a pirate?
Yes, one of the voice options is a pirate. The other one is
Python
Hell
for some reason for the tests.
The other one is Hell from 2001: Space Odyssey.
How about you get it to review all your code and change all the identifiers to emoji?
I like how you said my code there, Andy, because it's not my code at all. I've written 0 pieces of code in this app so far.
Hey, this is something someone would actually submit to the App Store.
It absolutely. I'm working with a client who's just, he's had this app going for like 10 years, and in the last month he submitted about 6 of his own apps to the store, and they've all been agent coded from what I can gather.
Have they all been accepted?
I believe so.
Wow.
Andy, unlike yourself, Apple will accept things that are really crap, not really good. I know you've had some run-ins with the store, but I don't know how.
Almost all of them, they metadata
rejections,
though. Yeah, that's the thing. And the one that was the paywall one was really valid. I can't remember if I put stuff on the Slack or not about that, but that was something where I hadn't realized they used iPad minis to test, and my post-hog analytics let me see that somebody was running that build other than me, because my debug builds have a flag in there so I can filter them out of my post-hog events, and it was on an iPad mini. And when I looked, the paywall sizing was exactly perfect on the iPad mini, so there was no hint that you should scroll the middle area. And the guy's rejection was absolutely spot on, that if you didn't scroll it, you didn't see all the things that were supposed to be included in the paywall. So it was an invalid paywall from their point of view. And so I just basically went in there, deleted one line in my feature list, so that there was no platform on which you didn't see an incomplete box that kind of hinted you should scroll that content as a quick fix. And that was totally a server-side fix because I was using the version 1 Revenue Cat paywall editor. So it's just completely online. I just resubmitted that then. But yeah, all of them have been like with paywalls, it was kind of like I had to do a mapping, like 2 pages of for every single benefit of pro registration. This is the menu item in the app that corresponds to that. And I don't know why they jumped on me about that. But yeah. So it's that sort of thing. Yeah. I guess it was because maybe they're doing word for word matching or something like that. And so those words didn't appear in the UI exactly as listed in the paywall. I don't know.
With some of the apps that they release, I do wonder whether or not they're just using an agent to review it. But
yeah,
maybe that's just a gripe I have because it's incredible the number of copy apps out there and the number of even if you look for ChatGPT, there's a fake ChatGPT app that basically is a wrapper for ChatGPT, and you pay them and you pay ChatGPT. It's insane.
Who was it that put a rule in about supplying your own tokens is now a violation of terms of service? Was it Claude or ChatGPT? I think it was the Claude stuff.
Sorry, can you recap that?
One of the providers put a rule in now that if you put your API key into a third-party app, it's a violation of terms of service. So I'm trying to think. Damn, it came up recently.
I think it was Claude, and I think they walked it back quite quickly when there was a big outcry about it.
Right.
I can't remember exactly.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it was Claude.
Is this at the same
sure
time that they sent the cease and desist to the OpenClaw guy who basically got snapped up by OpenAI?
It was after that. That was also a big bit of a mistake on their part.
Man, I mean, the lawyers there must be basically walking on, I don't know, hip stumps by now. There's been that much foot gunning going on.
I've got to go, everyone. It's good to see you. Thanks, Sam. That was
yeah, that was awesome. Thank you.
Thank you very much,
really
Sam.
good.
It was great. It was really good to see everyone as well. It's been quite an
So don't end on my behalf. It wasn't me calling the meeting to an end, but no, I've got to do something.
So social vibe coding, who'd have thought it was a thing?
Yeah.
See you all at the next one. Bye.
Cheers.
See ya.
See ya.
And I'm sorry I have to say this. I think this app is suffering from too many cooks right now.
Yeah. That's a nice one. I can't do my test for some reason. It's taking ages to launch.
So we are in agentic hell.
Yes.
How's it launch? Oh, it's launching Vibe tests and Vibe UI tests, and it's got an active. No, it's a paused preview.
Yeah, Canvas is paused, but it doesn't want to launch the simulator, I think.
Is your system actually being challenged, Sam, or is it just?
Well, it shouldn't be. It's just I don't know what it's doing, and it shouldn't take that long to launch.
Yeah, I was just mainly wondering if it was suspecting it was off in the weeds, but
yeah.
Can you run those two simultaneously? Test runner and the UI test runner?
I don't know. I clicked the button.
There's stuff about parallel testing I haven't ventured into in recent Xcodes.
Oh, hang on. Something's happening.
This is the new Swift test stuff, isn't it?
Yes, Swift test.
I have 600 XC tests, and I'm probably not going to budge for a fair while.
I reckon, Andy, you could probably use an agent to rewrite those tests for you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but why? It works.
Yeah, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah,
if it ain't broke, don't break it.
Yeah. I have a lot more things to refactor and fix up. One of the things I'm thinking about doing as a challenge for it is I have a liquid glass toolbar hell where I have a very small number of things on my toolbar, but they vanish if I turn on liquid glass, depending on the length of the document name. And this is due to the way that it's redesigned the toolbars, but it just silently drops stuff off the end. So I'm going to tell it to redesign those to a grouped, double panel kind of menu with a dot, 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 and just see how well it handles refactoring that stuff.
I would argue that if you've got better quality tests, then the refactoring process will actually be easier.
I don't have tests for UI stuff like that. I haven't done any UI testing. And that would be an interesting thing again, to ask it to do UI testing, but some of that I could just disappear down rabbit holes. Yeah. There's really not much point.
So I don't know if I kicked off multiple test runs by accident or what happened then, but I might have. Anyway, it looks like the tests have worked. It's got those ones seem to be okay.
Have you got an empty state?
Make empty database is what it's doing there. It's built into GRDB, I think.
So it puts a one blank recipe in or something like that, one default recipe.
Yeah. So I've got insert, then check it can be read, check it can be read, then insert update. Yeah, it's sort of round tripping it through the database there.
Okay.
Tested, my preview's got 20 recipes in it.
Huh.
Yeah, but it seems to work. Generating unit tests has always been one of the strengths, I think, of AI assistants. So, all right, Matthias, I think we might call it there. See you, Matthias. Thanks for joining us.
See you, Matthias.
It's been a lot of fun. Thanks.
All right. So, look, thanks everyone for dialing in.
Thank you, Sam.
Thank you very much, Sam.
You would have convinced me to start using it if I hadn't made the decision about a week or so ago to really lean into this stuff, because that was impressive as hell.
Yeah,
absolutely was.
I'm going to start using it more. So job done, I guess. Yeah,
I'm going to probably throw a bunch of URLs in that I know that I've read stuff in the last fortnight about agentic stuff. So I will find those and toss them into the Slack at some point.
Hey, Sam, maybe if we could create a new channel on Slack just for maybe AI agents or something. I don't know. Just a suggestion, just to keep it separate. Because I mean, even just in this meeting, we've had a whole bunch of links added in, and I think they're useful.
Yep, that sounds like a plan.
All awesome. Right. Thanks.
Well, I think
well, have a great night, everyone.
Yep.
Yeah.
Everyone enjoy your dinner if you haven't eaten already, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks, Sam.
Cheers.
Yeah.
Bye.